Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Sir Gavin. In this video, we will be discussing the implicit differentiation. So, implicit differentiation guys is a second type or the second way of doing the derivative. Katong usa is later on to discuss. Before we go through the topic, you need to recall the chain rule. Okay? So, muna ito ang kiwali magamit para mas makasabot mo sa ng implicit differentiation. So if you recall chain rule, the derivative of the function g of x, f of g of x rather, is equal to the f prime of g of x times the g prime of x. In other words, you differentiate the whole and then you differentiate the inside or the g of x. So notice you differentiate mo ang f as a whole. Yung pagkahuman, i-differentiate pa gini mo ang g. So, you multiply them. Muna gitawag ito ang chain rule, no? Unya, the same story when you do the implicit differentiation. But anyway, yung sa man ang implicit differentiation. So, from the term itself, implicit, meaning indirect. Katong sa una, katong biagi ng katong the previous natong mga discussions, those are called the explicit differentiations. Okay? So, the normal way, ito lang ikuan, ito lang i-emphasize, katong to ang pagtagaan kag example, y equals f of x, and you are to find the y prime, you can do explicit differentiation right away. Explicit way, binira kag explicit differentiation. However, there are cases na kinahanglan jud ka mag-implicit. Okay? So, for example, pag mayroon find, let's say, find dy dx given, let's say, y equals 7x. So, kana guys, dali ra kayo na siya. So, given this y equals 7x, nasa aning format. So, pwede din mo sa explicit differentiation right away. So, meaning, may nga baka diretso okay, this is just equal to y prime is just equal to 7, and that's it. So, sa may gamit na ito, katutuang normal way of doing the differentiation. So, muna gitawag na ito nga, explicit differentiation. However, there are cases nga dili applicable ang explicit. Okay, dili applicable ang explicit. So let's have an example. Sa explicit differentiation, these are just mga equations na gitsiya na dili inananig forma. Okay, di ba? As you can see, equations are not always like this one. So what if you are given, find, for example, find dy dx given, let's say, ito lang yung kung flexible lang ta. You can have y squared plus 3x squared equals r. Kana. Find dy dx given y squared plus 3x squared equals r. So notice that there are already three variables. Mostly ang advantage of ang learning implicit differentiation, because this time you can solve the derivative regardless of the number of variables. So notice na kanina, di ba, kung tanaw mo, limited lang ta og duha ka variables sa explicit differentiation. However, in the implicit way or the implicit differentiation, bisin pila pa naka variables, pwede naman na siyang solve. Okay, and it is actually, para na ko lang it is more useful in reality. So now here, find dy dx given this equation. What nimo is you do the implicit differentiation, but you have to recall chain rule again. So say buhat na to people. Una is we apply lang the normal derivative. Take note lang gina. Kasi lang, you have to take consideration of the independent variable. You are differentiating in terms of x. Okay? Again, you are differentiating here in terms of x. So, ang buhaton people, differentiate both sides. Ang derivative sa y squared is 2y, as you know. Diba? Okay? Kung kuha na lang yun ang kung i-emphasize ang tarong, para mas makasabot mo. Hopefully, this will help. Ang derivative sa y squared, diba? Ang buhaton na ito, is ang exponent, imuon mo siyang numerical coefficient. Okay? Nya mo ni imong base ang y, dayon ang exponent minus ang 1, so may mo siyang 2y raised to 1. I think, or 2y, di ba? Mawala man, ano? Pero, you have to consider chain rule. People, let's say derivative sa y. Okay, so here comes the problem actually you are differentiating y, pero your goal is to differentiate in terms of x. In other words, you are differentiating in terms of x. Ang pasabot mo ng people is, ang pwede rin doon mong i-differentiate is ang x. Okay? So, y man na. So, saan mo na kapag differentiate ang y nga x man yung instruction. Okay? So, that's the case. That's basically the problem. More mismatch ang imong variables because you are to differentiate in terms of x. However, you have y in here. So, ang idea is naani siya x inside. Okay, kaya murabag ang label is y, but probably naana siya x variables diha. So, ang imong y di ay, no, ang imong y nga function na siya x nga variable. So, dependent ang y sa x. So, ani di ay siya naa siya x inside. Pero we do not know exactly kung unsa gid ang iyang forma sa iyang function. Kaya ba lang ta, okay, label siya as y, but I do not know exactly kung unsa gid format sa iyang function. Basta kay ba ka nga ang function is name as y. Okay? So, ang mahitabuan na guys, no? Ang mahitabuan na is since we are to differentiate in terms of x and we have y in here, ang imong buhaton, okay, so I'll just put derivative of y in terms of x. Because I cannot differentiate this. Balik ko na ko I am doing the chain rule, no? Applying power rule, ang y squared mahimo siyang 2y raised to 1, differentiate the base. When you differentiate the base, unfortunately, di siya pwede. Because you are only to differentiate x variables. So you are expecting an x inside, but you do not know exactly kung saan ang imong x inside. So imong buhaton kay mo kakaibaw, and it is not applicable, so imo lang ibutang diha basta kay derivative ana. Okay, derivative ana, basta kay derivative sa y. I don't know kung sa derivative niya, basta it's necessary nga naa gibutang diha. Mo na gatong gigamit sa chain rule. Differentiate the whole, differentiate the inside, differentiate the base. Kung sa derivative sa base, I don't know. So, I'll just write derivative sa base. Mao man siya. Kani siya, no? Kung imong tanawon, kani siya, kung naibot nga, this is the derivative of the base. Okay? So, derivative sa whole, derivative sa base. That's chain rule. Okay? Now, from here, guys, you will then say, kanisiya, how about this one? So, 2, may mo na siyang, kanina, makay 3 na numerical coefficient daan, so may mo siyang 6. Ang base niyo is x, raised to the power of 1 na lang na. Unya, times, unsa man yung butang, times 1 ra na diretso. Anong 1 man? Because, nagmatch ang duha. O, sana, dahil kayo mo natin man, mismatch gani, do not differentiate. Batang ilang nimo sa label ngayon ani. Pero mag-match ganyan ang variables. Pwede na ka magamit sa normal way of doing differentiation last time. So muna, pwede ra ka, okay. So x variable man nag-match man na sila. So sa may derivative sa 3x squared. So pwede ra ka magbutang diretso og 6x. Nganong dili man ko magbutang og pareho ani? It's because the derivative of x is equal to 1. Pareho man siya og variables. Okay? Yang equals derivative sa r. Diba? Derivative sa r is equal to 1. 1 raman na siya. Pero remember, before na siya nahimong 1, this is just a base gihapon. Okay, diba? Ano man na? May explain na sad, no? From r raised to 1 man na siya dapat, no? So, may tabuan na is you have 1 base r raised to 0. Diba? Kaya ano man, anong nahimong itong 1 ngayon na? Kasi syempre, 1 raman gihapon eh. 1 times 1 is just simply 1. Times, chain rule, apply chain rule, unsa may derivative sa r in terms of x. Okay? So, again, dili na sa mismatch na pod siya. So, buhaton nimo, you will write dr dx. Okay? Applying chain rule, basta kay ang R man ako ang base, meaning I have to differentiate the base. Unsa may derivative sa R? I do not know. Okay, wag mo kay bawo unsa naa sa R na function. So buhaton ako, I'll just write dr dx. Basta derivative na siya sa base. Okay, so naa siya x inside, but we do not know unsa gyud ang x inside. Basta naa siya x inside, but since I do not know, I'll just write dr dx, derivative sa R. Okay, so hopefully this clear, no? To put it into kana ang murag patterns, ang mahitabuan na people is basta mismatch na isumpay. Mismatch, di ba? Dili pareho. Kanil yun yung tanaw na ang independent variable. Di sila pareho. Okay. So, sumpayan. Pag pareho gani, wala na isumpay. Normal na siya na differentiation as last time. Pag dili pareho na siya, tanawa, dili pareho, so nasa siya isumpay. Okay? Yeah. Do algebra na lang dahil, no? So, kani, mo siyang simplify. So, may mo na siyang y raised to 1 naman. So, 2y na lang na. 2y dy dx plus the 6x equals kana 1 raman na, no? 1 times 1 is 1 times dr dx is you have dr dx. Okay? Kung sa imong tuyo gani, so imong goal is kanini ang dy dx. So dapat kaniri mahibilin. So ang buhaton nimo people, no? Syempre you will come up with first you have 2y dy dx is equal to dr dx minus 6x. Okay? Dayon, para kaniri mabilin, kay mora man na yung muhang tuyo, then divide both sides by 2y. Or multiply by 1 over 2y. Kung i-transfer ha. So, this cancels, no? 1 lang na siya. So, you actually have dy dx which is equal to, kanisi ha? So, you have dr dx minus the 6x all over the 2y. So, this is now your dy dx. So, manigitawag na ito nga implicit differentiation. And this is very important because the explicit has limitation. Dahil na sa limitation, ang limitation na number 1, dapat duha ka variables. No, or 1 or 2 variables kasi ang constant ang imo ang naadara. Unya, pagkahuman, the normal way, the normal na itong rules. However, sa implicit, pwedeng multiple or even more than 2, no? Pasabot ako is more than 2 variables. So like this one, we already have 3 variables. Unya, flexible siya. You can solve it in the way na ganahan ka because this is algebra. So, pwede niyo mo siya i-manipulate if you want, but depende na yun sa imong comfort. Okay? So, for some other people, guys, they are not fond of using this one. Kaning dy dx, dr dx. Buhaton nila is this, no? Anak ko katong ganina, this can be an alternative solution. Kaya ako ba not comfortable with this kanang symbols? Kaya anyway, derivative man na siya. So, ilang buhaton is this. Differentiate y squared, samahin mo siyang 2y. Anak ko yun na, ang pattern is this. Ang pattern na gito, mismatch or nagmatch ba sila or wala? So, wala sila nagmatch. Sumpayan o y prime. So, saan ng y prime? Muna si dy dx. Okay? So, anak ko, depende sa comfort. May ubang ganahag y prime, may ubang ganahag dy dx. Tanawa lang yun, asa mo mas ganahan. Kani follow lang ko kung sige pangayo yun, no? Dy dx, mga nga symbol. So, I'm also using dy dx. Pero if you want, you can use this one na style. Derivative sa y squared, 2y. Yan, lahi-lahi mo silang variable, susumpayan, naisumpay. So, no, derivative sa 3x squared, syempre you have 6x. Kanya, naisumpay, wala isumpay because match man sila. Ano, para mas madali. Yan, is equal to ang r. Nasa may derivative sa r? Diba, 1. No, 1. Kanya, nagmatch or wala? So, wala man nag-match ang variables, so meaning, butangan mo og sumpay. Kasi sumpay, R prime. Okay? So, you can do this one as well. Depende na lang sa choices kung na choices. Pero kung wala, pwede ninyo na pili lang mo na kung sa inyong ganahan. Okay? Now, from here, people na from here, imong tuyo is y prime. So, mo na niya ang goal. Kaya di ba, dy dx man ang ipangayo, so equivalent na siya to y prime here. Sa kayo niya ang solution. Unya, you come up with 2y prime this time, no? 2y prime plus 6x. Ako lang saan siya i-simplify dali. So you have 1r prime or just simply r prime. Next, kanina mo hanggang no? So you actually have 2y prime is equal to r prime minus the 6x. Divide both sides by 2y. So you will come up with y prime equals r prime minus the 6x all over the 2y. Okay? So pareho na sila actually. Ang nagkuha lang, ang diferensya lang ana isang symbol. Kani I'm using dy dx, there is y prime. I'm using dr dx, there is r prime. But actually ako sa ako lang ha, sa ako is I am kanang mas ganahan ko ani, mas preferred ako ni siya because this one is more specific, especially aligned siya sa imuhang question. Unless ang ipangayo sa question na siya find y prime. Pero kani kung sa ako alang klase, okay ra ko ana, importante kay bawas sila sa procedure. Okay? So that's it for this video, people. In the next video, I will be giving you more examples. Thank you for watching my videos. Goodbye.